I assume that I'm audible. Okay, just give me a minute. There's something I need to settle up here. And I need to open. What is my little icon? No. Okay, just give me a minute. Just a minute. I need to fix this different hardware. This.
You have to teach up to 152, Prabhuji.
Okay. Let me just get this out. Small piece. Everything to that. Okay. Evam Prasangikam, that's exactly here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam Prasangikam Prochya Prakritarthon Nirupyate. Nano yah Prakriti Swami Yantaryami cha Purushaha Tabhyam Adhikatanasya Kamsare Rupapadyate. Having thus discussed this side issue, we now return to elucidating the main topic. Someone might object that it is incorrect to consider the killer of Kamsa superior to the Lord of material nature or to the indwelling regulator of creation. This is also the Tattvavadi idea, the Madhva line. They think like this. Nityavirbhuta Nikila Shaktikatva Hetuke. That's something I need to do. कृष्णस्य स्वयं रूपत्वे निर्णये प्रसंगागतम एकत्वेपि पृथक्त्वादिकं निरूप्य इदानीं प्रकृतं स्वयं रूपत्वं निरूप्यते इत्यर्थः. So having taken the topic of Krishna being the Swayam Rupa in terms of him constantly manifesting all of his potencies, having pointed out that even though he is one, he can simultaneously become many and so on. Now he goes back to the topic of elucidating the position of Lord Krishna as the original form. Prakriti Swami Karanarnava Shayi. The Lord of Prakriti is Karanodakashayi Vishnu. Purushaha Antaryami cha Garbhodakashayi. Tabhyam adhikah Krishno na. So there are those who think that Krishna is not superior to Garbhodakashayi, the indwelling Purusha. The main course of discussion after text 92 was establishing Krishna as the original form of God. Text 93 began a secondary discussion of his incorporating contradictory qualities such as being one and being many. Now the author resumes giving evidence that Krishna is a Swayam Rupa. The Prakriti Swami, master of material nature, is the first Purusha who lies on the causal ocean. The Antaryami, or the super soul of the universe, is the second Purusha resting on the Garbha ocean. In text 120 through 140, the Purva Paksha or opposing view will be presented, arguing that Krishna is inferior to both Karanodakashayi Vishnu and Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. No, this is not the Tattvavadi position. This is another Vaishnava position. The Tattvavadi's, their position, I think Rupa Goswami must have dealt with, saying that all the Vishnu Tattvas are equal and you cannot have a Taratamya, a gradation. And Rupa Goswami pointed out, yes, substantially they're all the same, but in terms of manifestation of those qualities, a gradation is certainly possible. So this is yet another Vaishnava position. Some other Vaishnavas think like this. Tatha hi Sri Prathame Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam Bhagavan Mahadadibhihi Sambhutam Shodashakalam Adologas Srikshaya. Thus the first canto states, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself as the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. Tatra Karanavashayi Namaha. This describes the Karanodakashayi Vishnu. This verse glorifies Karanodakashayi Vishnu. In the beginning of creation, before the appearance of anyone else, the Lord of the spiritual sky manifested this form of the Purusha for the purpose of creating the worlds from the Mahat, and Mahat means Mahatattva, and the other elements of matter. All 16 primary material elements existed first in him. So the Lord of the spiritual sky has manifested this form of the Purusha. Why or how? Using the Mahatattva and other elements with a desire to create the worlds. Using his 16 energies. And this is straight from first canto. Yasyam bhasi shayanasya yoganidram vitan vataha nabhi hradam bhujadasid brahma vishwasrajam patihi. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower of the stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest. This and the next 3 verses cited from Srimad Bhagavatam describe the second Purusha. Assuming this form, the Lord of the spiritual sky lies down within the egg-like shell of each universe on Garbhodaka, the fetal ocean. He is the expansion of Lord Narayana called Pradyumna. Pradyumna Vapusha Shayanasya Nabhikadam Buja Brahma Rupam Vishinishti. And then the next verse will describe this form. Yasya Veva Samsthane Kalpito Lokavistara Tadvai Bhagavato Rupam Vishuddham Sattvam. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha. But he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. Patalameta Sihi Padamulam Nityadi Vakye Kalpitaha Stuladhyam Manasthairya Upadishtam. For those of gross intelligence, in order to settle their minds, this conception has been instructed through statements such as Patala, the hellish planetary systems, constitute the soles of his lotus feet, and so on. Tat Bhagavato Rupam, but that form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishuddham, Jadyam Shenapi Rahitam, is pure, does not have any tinge of, not even a tinge of matter exists in him. Sattvam, Swaprakashata Shakti Rupam. Rather, it is self-illuminating. Ata Urjitam, Balava. Therefore, it is enriched with power. Maya Nivasakam. It is the shelter of Maya. Tamo Rajo Bhyam Asampraktam Mayikam Sattvam Taddititu Vadantu Bhranta Eva. And those who think and say that this form is a form of material goodness within Maya, which is isolated from Rajoguna and Tamoguna. People who present this idea, they are certainly bewildered, mistaken. Tat asampraktasya, tat sattvasya abhava, because it is impossible to isolate any of the modes of nature from the others. Anyonyam mithuna sarve sarve sarvatra gaminaha. Three modes of material nature are they're interlocked with each other. All of them go with each other. It is smaranat. That is noted in the Smriti. Sukshma dhiyastu taddevam rupam dhyayanti tyaha. But those of fine intelligence, they meditate on this form. The various material planetary systems expand from Garbhodaksha Vishnu and then assume their proper places, arranging themselves to resemble the limbs of his body. Thus it is stated, Patala Metasihi Padamulam, Patala Loka constitutes the soles of his feet, and so on. However, the scriptures describe these worlds as the Purusha's limbs only to help purify the minds of materialistic persons. In truth, the Supreme Lord's transcendental body is always pure, untouched by matter. It is composed of Shuddha Sattva, the self-manifested living substance of the spiritual realm. Therefore, the Purusha's actual body eludes all of Maya's influence. It is a critical mistake to assume that the Shuddha Sattva composing Lord Vishnu's body is simply the Sattva of the material creation, unmixed with the lower modes of Rajas and Tamas. Actually, we'll never find the material Sattva completely unmixed with the other modes, as we hear from the Pancharatra Agama. Anyonyam Thana Sarve Sarve Sarvatra Gaminaha. Each of the modes is always in intimate combination with the others. Each can always be found everywhere. Anyonyam Thana Sarve Sarve Sarvatra Gaminaha. Let me quick. Okay. Then Pashyantyado Rupamadam Chakshusha Sahasrapado Bhujananadhutam Sahasramurtha Shravanakshinaasikam Sahasramaulyambara Kundalo Lasat. The devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of the Purusha, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. So this is a form that is meditated upon by those of fine intelligence. Adamphra Chakshusha, Jnananetrena. They perceive this form. They perceive this form with the eyes of knowledge. Sahasra Shabdo Atra Asankhyatavachi Vishwatachakshu iti linga. The word sahasra or thousands here actually refers to an innumerable or uncountable number. All right. Tasya avataritvam etanniti. Okay. We'll come to this a little later. Materialistic thinkers have their various conceptions of the Supreme, but those with refined intelligence, free from misconceptions, meditate on the expansive form of the Purusha, Adabhrachakshusha, with unrestricted eyes, means with the vision of spiritual knowledge. The description of Lord Garbhodakashayi Vishnu having thousands of hands and legs indicates that he has these limbs in infinite number. This is also implied by such scriptural statements as Vishwataschakshurata Vishwato Mukho Vishwato Bahurata Vishwataspat. His eyes, mouth, arms, and feet are everywhere. So now this is all Purva Paksha. This is a presentation coming from the Vaishnavas who think that Krishna is not superior to the three Purusha avatars. So as evidence, they are quoting these verses of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Etan nanavataranam nidhanam bijam avyayam yasyam sham shena srijjante devatiryam naradayah iti. This form is the source, an indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form are created different living entities, demigods, men, and other. It's this verse, I mean, that Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is the avatari, the original Godhead from whom all incarnations and living beings expand. He is the nidhana, or source of everyone else. His amsha is Brahma, and Brahma's amshas are his sons, the Prajapatis headed by Marichi, who sent forth within the creation the eternal jivas, temporary identities as demigods, human beings, and animals. Rupantaranam Vaidurya Iva. He is the source of these different forms, means these different forms are just manifestations of this Lord Vishnu as the actual item. Vaidurya Iva. Rupantaranam Vaidurya Iva. For instance, take a gem. If you turn it in different angles, it assumes a different color. But actually, it's just that Vaidurya stone, it's a gem. So like this, they think that in reality, it is this form of Lord Vishnu. He's the one who assumes various forms, like Krishna, like Rama, and so on. Atrakarika Adau sarvavatāragre Bhagavan Purushottama Mahattatvadibhit krutva bhuvanānam sasrikshaya paurusham purushākaram athava purushabhiddham rūpamānanda chinmurtim jagrihe praduracharat. Some karikas, some explanation. This, of course, it's coming from this is all part of the objection. In the beginning, before all other incarnations become manifest, the Supreme Personality of Godhead desired to create the worlds out of the Mahatattva and the other material elements. Thus, he accepted the role of, or rather manifested himself as, the Paurusha incarnation, having the form of the Purusha or the name Purusha. That form was comprised of pure bliss and awareness. Text 126 through 134 will explain the previous 5 verses cited from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3. The personality of Godhead, who is the subject of the first Karika, Bhagavan Purushottama, is Narayana, the Lord of the spiritual sky. Oh, interesting. पद्य पंचकम कारिकाभिर्व्याचष्टे आदौ इत्यादिभिः भगवान् परव्योमाधीशः अर्थः सम्प्रति one by one is coming. अर्थ संभूत शब्दस्य सम्यक् सत्यमिति ऋतः संभूतं युक्तमिति वा भुवनानां सुशिक्षया षोडशैव कला यस्मिन् तत् षोडशकलं मतम्. The word Sambhuta in text 121 can refer to the complete truth, or it can mean combined. That is, combined for the purpose of creating the worlds. Its form is called Shodashakala because in it there are 16 components. The word Bhuta has many different meanings, as we see in its definition in the Medini dictionary. Bhutam Shmado Pishachado Janto Klibam Trishuchite Prapte Vritte Same Satye Deva Yonyantaretuna Kumarepi. Bhuta can mean earth and the other elements, Pishachas and other ghostly spirits, or any creature. In these definitions, the word has a neuter gender. Bhuta can also mean suitable, obtained, occurring, equal, true, or child, if not of divine origin. In these cases, the word is used in all 3 genders. An instance of Bhuta meaning combined is found in an example from the play Shishupala Vadha, where the poet Magha uses the word as follows: Sambhuyambodhim abhyeti mahanadya nagapaga. The great rivers flowing away from the mountains reach the ocean and combine with him. Sambhutam yuktamiti veti. Okay. Dimaka kavye prayog. Ta shodashak kala prokta Vaishnavai shastra darshana Shaktitvena chata bhakti viveka dishu sammata. Vaishnavas describe the 16 kalas according to scriptural indications. Texts like the Bhakti Viveka confirm these 16 components are personal energies of the Supreme Lord. Shrir Bhu Kirtir Rila Lila Kantir Vidyeti Saptakam Vimaladya Navityeta Mukhya Shodasha Shaktayah. The 16 principal energies consist of the 7 known as Shri, Bhu, Kirti, Ila, Lila, Kanti and Vidya, plus 9 others led by Vimala. Lord Vishnu's additional Shaktis will be mentioned later in this chapter in the description of Mahavaikuntha. Their names are as follows: Vimalot Karshini Jnana, Kriya Yoga Tathaivacha, Prahvi Satya Tatheshana Nugraheti Navasmuta. Scripture lists the 9 as Vimala, Utkarshini, Jnana, Kriya, Yoga, Prahvi, Satya, Ishana, and Anugraha. These are all different potencies of the Supreme Lord. Kalaha Amabhir Nirudishati Shri Rityadi. So in this way, those 16 aspects have been indicated with names. Tadvidam Paurusham Rupam Trividham Purvamiritam Tatra Procham Mahatsrashta Rupam Mandastham Uchyate. As stated previously, this Purusha incarnation has 3 forms. This passage first describes the form who creates the Mahatattva, and then the form present inside the universal egg. The 3 Purushas were introduced in chapter 2, text 9 of the Laghu Bhagavatamrita with the quotation from the Satvata Tantra. Vishnostu Trini Rupani Purushakhyam Yatho Viduhu Ekam tu Mahatas Srashta Dvitiyam Tvanda Samsthitam Titiyam Sarvabhutastham Tani Gyatva Vimuchyate. Vishnu has 3 forms called Purusha. The first, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy Mahat. The second, Garbhodashayi, more commonly known as Garbhodakashayi, is situated within each universe. And the third, Kshirodashayi, who is the same as Kshirodakashayi, He lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. यस्या जांड प्रवेशेन शयानस्य तदंभसि नाभिहृदाम्बुजादासीत् इति सुव्यक्तमेव हि. That he entered the universal life is obvious from the Bhagavatam statement 1.3.2, describing how he lay on the water inside the egg and how Brahma appeared from the lotus growing out of his navel. Yasya naभिहृदाब्जा हृदाब्जस्या वयवाः कर्णिकादयः संस्थानान्यत्र विन्यास विशेषास्तैस्तु कल्पितः लोकानां सर्वजगतां विस्तारो विततिः किल. The pericarp and other parts of this lotus growing from the Purusha's navel are the locations determining how the planets are arranged within each of the universes. Vistara means expansion. Okay. Here Srila Rupa interprets the pronoun yasya, of which in the phrase yasya vayava samsthane that appears in text 123 as referring to the lotus sprouting from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu's navel. The earlier commentator Sridhar Swami, however, understood it to refer to the Lord's entire body. In either case, the purpose of the statement is clear with no substantial difference in meaning. Sashete yena rupena takshuddam sattvam urjitam. The form in which the Purusha lies down is spiritual existence par excellence. Pashyanti tyadi padyena tadevedam vishishyate etadrupam tu nana avataranam udayaspadam. This truth is underscored by the verse beginning Pashyanti, text 124. This form, moreover, is the origin of numerous avatars. Yatha Ekadashe, and then the objector also presents evidence from the 11th canto. Bhutair yada panchabhir atmasrishtai puram virajam virachaya tasmin swamshena vishtah purushabhidanam avapanara yana adideva. As stated in the 11th canto, when the primeval Lord Narayana created the vast domain of the universe out of the 5 elements produced from himself and then entered within that universe by his own plenary portion, he thus became known as the Purusha. Yasya Purushasya avataritvam udaharati bhutairiti adideva narayana paravyoma patihi. So that person who is being described as a source of avatars, he is described as Narayana, the Lord of the spiritual sky, in this verse from the 11th canto. This verse is cited on behalf of the Purva Paksha objection as evidence that Lord Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is Avatari, the source of all God's incarnations, including Krishna. The original personality of Godhead who rules over the spiritual sky expands himself in the form of the first Purusha, who manifests the material elements and fashions the universe from them. He then enters the universe in his further expansion as the second Purusha. In this form, he is known as the Purusha incarnation, who is glorified in the Purusha Sukta of the Rig Veda. Thus, the proponents of the Purva Paksha objection might say that the Vedic literatures describe the Purusha as the first expansion of Lord Narayana and the source of all his other incarnations. So, in the form of the first Purusha, he created using the elements, and then in the form of the second Purusha, he entered. Then he attained the name Purusha. Sacha Uttanam Avataranam Avatariti Kyatam Ityasha. And therefore he is famous as the cause of all the incarnations, because the other incarnations come from him. Narayana Atra Ityadi Karikaarthastu Sputanta. Atra Sarthak Karika Narayanotra Paramam Vyomeshanas Atmana Tum Swarupena Srishtaistayir Bhutai Srishtva Virattanam Vishtaswamshena Tenaiva Samprata Purushabhidham. 1.5 karikas about this. That means 1.5 verses of an explanation of that 11th canto verse. This is still a part of the objection. Here, Narayana means the Supreme Lord of the spiritual sky. By himself, in his personal form, he creates the universe with the elements he has manifested. Entering this universe as a partial expansion, he obtains the title Purusha. Prastute tu kimayatam nityashankyan nigadyate Sosya garbhodashayyasya viraso yash chaturbhujaha shete pravishya lokabjam vishnuakhya kshira varidhau. A skeptic may ask, how is this information relevant to the topic at hand? It is said that from Lord Garbhodakashayi comes a Vilasa expansion with 4 arms named Vishnu, who enters the universal lotus and lies down on the milk ocean there. Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. Ayam chastavarantanam suradinam sharirinam hridyastaha. As if he had many different forms, he assumes the role of inner controller in the hearts of all embodied beings, from the demigods down to the non-moving entities. Tatiyam sarvabhutastam iti Vishnor yaduchyate rupam sattva tantre tad vilasosyeva sammataha. He is the Vishnu referred to in these words of the Satvata Tantra. The third Purusha is present in all created beings. This statement confirms that this form is a Vilasa expansion of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Atah Kshiram Bhude Stire Kritopasthanaka Surai Esha Eva Avatirno Bhut Krishnakya Iti Yujyate. This discussion is relevant, therefore, because when the demigods prayed to him on the shore of the milk ocean, he descended to earth with the name Krishna. Okay, see, the logic is this. How did Krishna appear? You open the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and see for yourself. This is how the objector presents the idea. The demigods, they went to the shore of the milk ocean. And they prayed to Kshirodakashayi Vishnu to appear. And then he descended. Simple logic it is. Purva Paksha's main contention is that the killer of Kamsa is not superior to the first 2 Purushas. He wants to prove this point by applying the Bhagavatam's description of the Purushas, which portrays them as the source of other incarnations. He argues thus: the Vishnu on the milk ocean called Aniruddha is an Amsha of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. He, the third Purusha, responded to the appeal of the beleaguered demigods by appearing as Krishna. This means then that Krishna is an incarnation of Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who is an expansion of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who is an expansion of Karanodakashayi Vishnu. Thus, Krishna is far from the original form of Godhead. अथात्र पूर्व पक्षे वह सिद्धांत प्रतिपद्यते यथा श्री दशमे तेषु सुरेष्वेवा शरीरगी. Now we can supply the definitive resolution to your objection by citing from the 10th canto an unembodied message for the demigods. Etam Puru Paksham Nirakartumaha Atheti. Now Sri Rupa Goswami begins to deal with that objection. Shirapati Devai अभ्यर्थितः कृष्णः अभूत् इति यदुक्तं तत् रभसादेव वाक्यार्थ अनवलोकनात् इति भावेन आह यथाश्रीति. See, the idea is Lord Kshirokshayi Vishnu was sought after by the Devas. The Devas prayed to him. And then he became Krishna. This is their point. But that is a very rash, inattentive conclusion. It's just a rash conclusion. They didn't think very carefully. They didn't analyze it. How is that? We'll get to see that now. वसुदेव गृहे साक्षात् भगवान पुरुषः परः जनिष्यते तत् प्रियार्थं संभवन्तु सुरस्त्रियः इति. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, who has full potency, will personally appear as a son of Vasudeva. Therefore, all the wives of the demigods should also appear in order to satisfy him. Okay, wait, let's take a look at actual. Then you'll be able to follow the argument here. The 10th canto begins with Parikshit Maharaj requesting Shukadeva Goswami to speak about Krishna. Krishna meaning Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, Krishna, and Nanda Maharaj. So this is how it begins. Mother Earth was in great distress, and they all approached the ocean of milk. Demigods offered prayers. In fact, they sang the Purusha Sukta prayer, and then Lord Brahma heard this. He heard the words of Lord Vishnu. Then the next verse. He's already aware, and he's going to appear. And then this verse will personally appear as a son of Vasudeva. Ananta is going to appear. Vishnu's Maya, she is going to appear. So this is what is going on in the 10th canto. Let's get back. Okay, wait. The Puru Paksha's idea that the Lord of the Milk Ocean appeared as Krishna in response to the demigod's prayer must have been conceived in haste, because it fails to recognize the clear meaning of the Bhagavatam's text. Brahma spoke this verse to the demigods, repeating what he had heard from Kshirodakashayi Vishnu through mental communication. We know this from the preceding statement. Giram samadho gagane samiritam nishamya vedhastri dashanuvachah gam paurushim me shrunatam punar vidhiyatam ashut nathaiva machiram. While in trance, Lord Brahma heard the words of Lord Vishnu vibrating in the sky. Thus he told the demigods, "O demigods, hear from me the order of the Supreme Person and execute it attentively." Brahma is relaying Kshirokshayi Vishnu's message to the demigods. Not I, but the Purusha will take birth in Vasudeva's house. So here, the words of the Purusha are now stated here. This is actually spoken by Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So Kshirodakashayi Vishnu doesn't say, I will appear as a son of Vasudeva. Rather, he says, the Supreme Personality of God, Bhagavan, Purushaha, Paraha, the transcendental Purusha Bhagavan, he will personally appear in the home of Vasudeva. Not I, but the Purusha will take birth in Vasudeva's house. Do you mean Garbhodakashayi Vishnu? No, the Supreme Purusha, the Purushaha Paraha. then do you mean the Karnavikshaya Vishnu? No, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Purusha Paraha. Oh, you mean the Lord of Vaikuntha? No, Sakshat Bhagavan Purusha Paraha. Sakshat Bhagavan Purusha Paraha. This person is going to appear. Who's speaking this? Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. In other words, oh, you mean the Lord of Vaikuntha? No, the original Supreme Personality. In other words, the person who will appear in Vasudev's house is Sakshat Bhagavan, whose status as God is not dependent on anyone else. A similar status is expressed by the words Swayam Dasas Tapasvinaha. Great ascetics are their own servants, which means they don't accept somebody else as their servant. They are not anybody else's servant. They are their own servants. The demigods' wives, who are members of Lord Vamana's entourage, should descend to the earth for the Lord's pleasure to become the maidservants of his beloved consorts. Okay, this is already explained. Yes, Sakshat Bhagavan. So, okay, this is also already explained. Fine. Let's go on. Atra Karika. Some explanation. Purushasya parattvena sakshatcha bhagavaneti etasyeva mahatsarashta somsha ityabhivishvrutaha. The following karikas explain this. Thus, by calling this Godhead, scriptural authority clearly establishes that the creator of the Mahatattva is a partial expansion of Krishna. By distinguishing Purusha as Para and Bhagavan as Sakshat, Srimad Bhagavatam establishes beyond doubt that it was the Swayam Rupa who took birth in Vasudeva's house. This means then that Karnavikshaya Vishnu is Krishna's Amsha. Those who say that Karnavikshaya Vishnu's Amsha produced Krishna are surely mistaken. Atra Shri Swami Padanam api sammati rikshiyate yad amsham bhage netyasya vyakhyam purvadbhirevatai amshena bhago mayaya yenetyamshosya purushaha bhago bhajanamityevam purnatasya sputikrita. We see that Srila Sridhar Swami concurs with this opinion when he comments that the phrase Amshabhagena means by whom in his partial expansion Maya is accepted. Thus, since Bhaga here means Bhajanam, accepting, the Purusha is an Amsha of Krishna, and this fact makes it evident that Krishna is a complete form of God. Vidvattama Sammattimma Atraha. Specifically, Sri Rupa Goswami has pointed out that this has the sanction or approval of the most learned Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami is the most respected and learned authority on Srimad Bhagavatam. His opinions should be taken very seriously. The explanation cited here is from his commentary on the 10th canto verse in which Krishna addresses Yogamaya. Athaham amshabhagena devakyah putratam shubhe prapsyami tvam yashodayam nandapatnyam bhavishyasi. O all auspicious Yogamaya, I will then become the son of Devaki along with my partial expansion who accepts material nature. And you will appear as the daughter of Mother Yashoda, the queen of Maharaj Nanda. Kimchetatraiva devakya krite stotre nirupitam. This is explained elsewhere in the same canto in a prayer offered by Devaki. Yatha yasyam sham sham shabhagena vishwotpattil layodayah bhavanti kila vishwatmams tam tvadyaham gatim gata iti. O soul of all that be, the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe are all carried out by a fraction of an expansion of an expansion of your expansion. Today I have come to take shelter of you, the Supreme Lord. So that is straight from Mother Devaki's mouth. Very clear evidence. Similarly, in the 11th canto, we have a statement of Uddhava. Actually, in the 4th volume of Shandarbha, Jiva Goswami, is called Krishna Sandarbha, and there he presents even more arguments. Tatraiva Shri Dashame, it is stated in the 10th canto itself. Shri Krishnasya Matputrasya Tava Atra Karika. And she's talking about Krishna, her son, Atra Karika, an explanation. Yasyamshah Purushastasya Syadamshah Prakritistu Sa Tasya Amsha Gunastuvesham Bhagenasyodbhavadayaha. A Karika explains this as follows. Krishna's Amsha is the Purusha, whose Amsha is material nature. Her Amshas are the modes of matter. The creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the universe are affected by the partial manifestation, bhaga, of these modes. That the Purusha is Krishna's Amsha means he does not exhibit all of Krishna's qualities. That Prakriti is the Purusha's Amsha means that she is only one aspect of the Purusha who possesses her as his energy. Or it can mean that she is completely subordinate to him. Purushasya Krishnamshatvam anabhivyakta nikhila gunata Krishnatvam. When we say, but he has not revealed all of the qualities of Krishna. From the 10th canto itself, a statement by Lord Brahma. Narayanastvam nahi sarva dehinam atma sadhisha kilaloka sakshi Narayanongam narabhujalayana tachapi satyam nattavaiva maya iti. Again in the same canto. Are you not the original Narayana or supreme controller? Since you are the soul of every embodied being and the eternal witness of all created realms, indeed Lord Narayana is your expansion. And he is called Narayana because he is the generating source of the primeval water of the universe. He is real, not a product of your illusory Maya. Karanodashayasya, Garbhodashayasya cha Krishnamshatvam Brahmavakyanaha Narayana. Now he proves that Karanodakshaya Vishnu and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu are Krishna's amshas, plenary portions. He demonstrates this with evidence from Lord Brahma. In this verse, Lord Brahma tells Krishna that he realizes that Karanodakshaya Vishnu and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu are his amshas. Just before this, Brahma had said, Jagattrayanto Dadisamplavode Narayanasyo Dharanabhinala Nala Vinirgato just Pritivang Navai Vrisha Intvishwaratvanna Vinirgatosmi. My dear Lord, it is said that when the three planetary systems are merged into the water at the time of dissolution, Lord Narayana lies down on the water. Gradually, a lotus flower grows from his navel, and Brahma takes birth upon that lotus flower. Certainly, these words are not false. Thus, am I not born from you? In effect, Brahma is saying, dear Lord, you are my father, Narayana. Therefore, please excuse my offenses. Hey Ishvara, O Supreme Lord, Tvam mat pita Narayanosi, you are my father, Narayana. Ityuktya Krishnasya Purusha Narayanatvam Uktva. So he stated that Krishna is that Purusha, that Narayana. Atha Vidhir Akhanda Ishwaryam Vikshya Bhitaha Tat Pratishedati. He now sees Krishna's unfragmented opulence. He is frightened. And therefore he now denies that Krishna is merely this Purusha Narayana. However, having just seen Krishna's unequal power, Brahma now understands that Krishna is not only his father, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he is something more, afraid of committing further offense. He carefully qualifies this connection by addressing Krishna as Adhisha, the ultimate Lord. The Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's who serve as super souls of each universe are supreme lords, and Brahma's father is one of them, but Krishna is superior to them. Krishna gives life and the power to act, not only to all embodied beings who inhabit every universe, but also to the inhabitants of Vaikuntha, including Garuda, Vishwaksena, and all the other eternally liberated souls. He is the direct witness of every realm of existence, material and spiritual. He is Mahanarayana, greater than all other personalities of Godhead. And the first and second Purushas are his partial expansions. It is thus neither myth nor poetic exaggeration, but eternal truth that Krishna is Narayana, the Purusha who creates his universe. Krishna can still be expected to excuse Brahma because he is indeed Brahma's father, even if a few generations move. Straight taken from Sri Baladevi Devbhushan's commentaries. Tacha Purushanarayana Tvam Tava Satyameva Paramarthikam Natu Maya Na Anityam. Krishna's expansion as this Purusha, Narayana, is real, spiritual. It is not a product of Maya. It is not temporary. Tayacha Paramparaya Api Tatputratvat Me Aparadha Kshantavya iti bhava. So he implies that at least over the generations, I am your son, so you should forgive me. That is Brahma's implication here. Karikaha. Verses of explanation. Jagat Trayeti Padyena Shri Narayana Tamvadan Krishnasyaatha Swayam Drishtva Paramaishwaryamadhutam Paryapta Jandaniyutam Swayam Bhiti Bharakulaha Narayanastvam Netyaha Saparadha Ivatma Bhu. Karika is explaining this in the verse beginning Jagat-traya 10:14.13. Brahma identified Krishna with Sri Narayana, but then having seen for himself Krishna's supreme power, comprising the opulences of millions of universes, Brahma became frightened and considering himself an offender, spoke the verse beginning Narayanastvam Na. Or Brahma came down to the earth to see for himself whether Krishna was really his father, the Supreme Lord. Surprised to find Krishna eating lunch with his friends and behaving not very much like God, eating off the other boys' plates and smearing food on himself, Brahma decided to test him. Krishna, however, proved to be a better manipulator of appearances than Brahma. Brahma was bewildered to see that Krishna had expanded from himself replacements for all the boys and calves. Brahma then saw them all become Vishnu forms, surrounded by their infinite opulences. Seeing the glories of countless Vaikunthas within the 40-mile diameter of Vrindavan forest shocked Brahma into realizing Krishna's supremacy. He Adhishet Yajandaudhas Titantar Yami Purusha Ishastebhyodhiko Dhisho Hi Yata Sarvadehinam Samashtinam Savaikuntha Jivanam Tvam Prakashakaha Tesham Akhila Lokanam Sakshi Drashtab Yasis Swayam. O Supreme Controller, the Super Soul Purushas who are situated in countless universes are controllers, but you are superior to them because you are the Supreme Controller of all embodied beings. It is you who manifest the entire aggregate of living beings, including those who live in Vaikuntha, and you are the witness, the seer of all the worlds. Purnasya Swamshata Bhaktir Bhayodaya. He's frightened because he has pointed out that he who is complete is an Amsha. Ato yo narabhu nirayana narayana sprutaha satingam amshah purnasya chinmaya shakti vaibhavai chatushpadikam aishwaryam tavattasyatu padikam. Therefore, he whom the scriptures call Narayana because he is the generating source of the primeval water of the universe is an Anga or an Amsha of you, the complete whole. Your opulences expand in both the spiritual and material dimensions, occupying all 4 quadrants, whereas his occupy only 1 quadrant. We talk about Tripad Vibhuti and Ekapada Vibhuti. Prabhupada sometimes talks about 3/4 and 1/4. 3/4 creation is the spiritual world. That is not meant to be taken literally in an arithmetic sense. It means that he possesses, the spiritual world possesses far more features than material existence. Why the Purusha is called Narayana is explained by Parashara Rishi in Sri Vishnu Purana. Apo Nara iti prokta, apo vai narasu navaha, ayanam tasyatah purvam, tena narayana smritaha. The water from which the material creation evolves is called Nara, because it is born from the Supreme Person, Nara. Because that Supreme Person prior to Brahma's creation makes his residence in that water, the scriptures remember him as Narayana. The original personality of Godhead is complete in all respects. He possesses all the assets of both the spiritual and material worlds, and therefore his domain is called Chaturpada Vibhuti. The Purusha incarnations are also full in themselves, but they exhibit only a fraction of his assets, namely the powers of creation in relation to material nature. It is a symptom of ignorance to think that the boundless opulence of the Supreme Person is limited to the finite quadrant of material creation. Just as you think that the topmost leader of a country, say in India it's the Prime Minister, in some other country it might be the President, to consider that his greatest glory is because he is on top of all the prisons in the country. That is not actually his glory. Prisons are just quite an insignificant portion of the country. It is necessary, but there are more important features in the country. And obviously, the top leader of a country is expected to have power over all the prisons. But that is not his complete glory. So it is here. Purusha Narayana Satya Maya Shakti Vaibhavam Aishwaryam Ekapadikam. Krishna is complete. So he possesses control over material, spiritual, everything. But he doesn't. Narayana does not reveal the further excellences that Krishna reveals. So therefore, those who don't understand this are certainly misled, bewildered. 152, I think I'm going to. Okay, one more verse. Vishtabhyahamidam kritsnam ekam shene tite varshaha tachamshatvam bhavit satyam viradvan natumayikam. You have said, I uphold this entire creation with but a single partial expansion of myself. The form of this partial expansion is real, not illusory, like the Virat Rupa. Ekam Shene Sito Jagat is direct from Bhagavad Gita. And that form is also fully spiritual. Okay.